Jason disappearing should not feel like a cheap soap trick. That is the first thing I keep thinking about when imagining this storyline. Too many stories make a character vanish and then suddenly reappear like nothing really happened. That kind of writing always feels hollow to me. Jason is not that kind of character. If he disappears, the absence must feel heavy. It must leave confusion behind, anger, suspicion, and also that quiet ache that people refuse to admit. The starting point of this whole idea sits in Canada, not some random escape trip. Jason taking Britt there is already a decision full of weight. He is not a man who travels for nothing. Every move Jason makes usually comes from calculation, from instinct, sometimes from guilt too. Britt may think they are just trying to get distance from Port Charles, from Sonny, from Cullum, from that endless circle of violence. But Jason already knows something bigger is moving behind the scenes. Canada becomes the quiet place where Jason builds something fragile for Britt, a small life that might survive even if he cannot. I imagine Jason spending days arranging things before he disappears, not rushing, careful in that strange quiet way he always has. He finds Britt a small apartment, maybe in Vancouver, somewhere close enough to the ocean that the air feels different from Port Charles. Not glamorous, just safe. Clean windows, simple furniture, a kitchen Britt will complain about, but secretly, like, Jason probably buys things Britt does not even notice at first. A better lock on the door, cameras outside, emergency contacts written down in code. Jason never explains these things. He just does them. Britt probably thinks he is being paranoid, which is funny because Jason has survived precisely by being paranoid. And the job. That part matters too. Britt needs something normal. Jason arranges for her to work at a small clinic under a different professional identity. Not a full fake life, but something close enough. Britt might argue at first. She is proud, stubborn, not the type who wants to hide behind a fake name, but eventually she sees the logic. Jason does not push. He just gives her the choice. That is how he always works. What Britt does not realize is that Jason is already preparing to leave. The disappearance itself should not look dramatic. No explosions, no obvious attack. Jason simply goes out one night after making sure Britt has everything she needs. He tells her he will drive across the border to handle something in Port Charles. A few days, maybe less. Britt believes him because she wants to believe him. That small lie is painful in a quiet way. Then Jason vanishes. Back in the United States, rumors begin almost immediately. Jason Morgan missing is not something the criminal world ignores. People start assuming the worst. Someone must have taken him out. Maybe one of Sonny's enemies. Maybe Cullum finally decided Jason was too dangerous. Cullum himself becomes one of the first suspects. In the circles Jason moves in, suspicion spreads faster than truth. Even allies begin wondering if Cullum removed Jason to secure his own position. Cullum might even encourage those rumors a little, not because he is guilty, but because fear can be useful. Meanwhile, Britt waits. At first she is calm. Jason has disappeared before, for short periods. It is not unusual for him to vanish into some situation he cannot explain, but the days stretch longer, then weeks. No phone calls, no messages, nothing. That silence begins to twist inside her. Eventually, Britt hears that Jason may have been attacked. The story reaches her through indirect channels. Someone from Port Charles contacts her carefully, maybe not wanting to alarm her too much. But the implication is clear. Jason may have crossed the wrong enemy this time. Britt immediately thinks of Cullum. It would make sense from her perspective. Cullum and Jason have always had a tense relationship. Too many secrets, too many overlapping loyalties. Britt imagines some brutal confrontation somewhere in the dark. Jason fighting, disappearing, leaving behind almost no evidence. She assumes he is either dead or captured. That belief hurts her more than she expected. Britt is not the type who likes to admit emotional dependence. But Jason had become something steady in her life, a strange kind of quiet support. Losing that without explanation leaves her unsettled, angry, grieving in a way she cannot easily express. And yet the truth is something completely different. Jason did not disappear because someone attacked him. Jason chose to disappear? The turning point of the storyline happens in a secret meeting shortly after Jason leaves Britt in Canada. He crosses back into the United States expecting to handle a few unfinished matters. Instead, he is intercepted by agents connected to the World Security Bureau, the organization known as the WSB. World Security Bureau. Jason has encountered the WSB before indirectly. They watch people like him, men who operate between the legal world and the criminal one. Jason always assumed they tolerated him because he helped maintain a certain balance around Sonny's territory. But this time, the tone of the meeting is different. They do not threaten him. They recruit him. The WSB has been building a long investigation into Sonny's organization. Not just local crime in Port Charles, but something larger. international money movement, weapons shipments hidden inside legitimate trade routes, connections to networks that even Sonny might not fully control anymore. To dismantle that kind of structure, they need someone who understands it from the inside. Jason is the obvious choice. At first, he refuses. Jason has always been loyal to Sonny. Not blindly loyal, but the bond between them goes back years. It was Sonny who gave Jason a place after the accident that destroyed his previous life. Walking away from that loyalty is not easy. The WSB does not argue aggressively. Instead, they present information Jason did not know. Documents, intercepted communications, patterns of financial transfers that point towards something darker growing within Sonny's empire. Jason begins to realize that Sonny may no longer be in full control of his own network. Powerful groups outside Port Charles are using Sonny's operations as a gateway. If that is true, the situation is bigger than loyalty. Jason agrees to listen. The WSB proposes something extreme. Jason must vanish completely for 3 months. During that time, he will undergo training and evaluation. If he passes, he will become an official, high-level operative working directly with them. His primary assignment will be to gather evidence capable of bringing down Sonny's organization legally. Not through assassination, through exposure. Jason hesitates again. One condition matters more than anything. Britt must be protected. The WSB agrees immediately. They had already anticipated that concern. Britt's new identity in Canada will be shielded through multiple layers of bureaucratic protection. No one connected to Sonny will be able to trace her. Jason still struggles with the moral side of this choice. Turning against Sonny feels like betrayal, yet ignoring the larger threat would also be a kind of betrayal to the people who might get hurt later. Eventually, Jason accepts the deal. From that moment, he effectively disappears from the world. The 3 months that follow are not comfortable. They are not glamorous either. The WSB training program strips Jason down mentally. He already knows how to fight, how to plan, how to survive. What they teach him is something else. Intelligence analysis, strategic command, psychological manipulation. Jason learns how large organizations think, how governments coordinate secret operations. He begins to understand that the conflicts he once believed were personal rivalries are actually pieces of wider geopolitical games. That realization changes him. Another important aspect of the training involves leadership. The WSB does not want Jason to remain a field enforcer forever. They want him directing operations, making decisions that affect dozens of agents at once. During this time, Jason encounters 2 familiar figures again, Jack Brennan and Cullum. Both of them already have connections to the WSB structure. Brennan represents the political intelligence side. Calm, calculating, always thinking about long-term consequences. Cullum represents the tactical side. Fast decisions, aggressive strategies, sometimes too aggressive. What surprises both of them is Jason's new position. He is not being trained as their subordinate. The WSB leadership believes Jason's unusual moral code could stabilize conflicts between agents like Brennan and Cullum. They see him as a potential coordinator who can balance intelligence work with operational reality. Jason does not enjoy that role at first. Leadership requires him to trust people he barely knows. It forces him to look at situations in terms of outcomes rather than personal relationships. Still, he adapts. Meanwhile, in Canada, Britt continues living inside uncertainty. Months pass without answers. Her anger toward Cullum grows. She begins quietly investigating Jason's disappearance on her own. That part of the story interests me a lot because Britt is often underestimated. People forget she is intelligent and capable when she decides to be. She starts connecting fragments of information. None of them make complete sense yet. Back in Port Charles, the absence of Jason creates chaos. Sonny's organization becomes unstable. Rival groups test the boundaries. Cullum tries to maintain order, but suspicion keeps circling around him. Ironically, the rumors blaming Cullum for Jason's disappearance may actually strengthen his authority. People fear him more. 3 months later, Jason finally returns. The timing of that return should feel almost eerie. Like someone stepping out of a shadow after everyone assumed he was gone forever. When Jason appears again, he is not the same quiet enforcer who vanished. He carries authority now. Officially, he is still working for the WSB, but his position places him above many of the agents operating in the region. Brennan acknowledges him with professional respect. Cullum, who once saw Jason as a rival, now has to recognize that Jason outranks him within certain operations. This shift creates tension immediately. Jason's real mission remains hidden from most people. He must collect the evidence necessary to dismantle Sonny's empire piece by piece. Financial records, secret shipments, hidden partnerships. The tragedy of the situation lies in Jason's emotional conflict. Sonny once trusted him completely. Now Jason is quietly building the case that could send Sonny to prison for the rest of his life. I personally think this storyline works best if Jason does not hate Sonny while doing this. The complexity matters. Jason might still care about him. That contradiction makes every decision harder. Eventually, Britt will discover the truth about Jason's disappearance. Maybe not all of it at once. Perhaps through a small clue that reveals Jason was never attacked. He simply chose to walk away. Her reaction should be messy. Anger first. Hurt. A sense of betrayal. Jason promised honesty in his own limited way, and yet he vanished without explanation. But later, she might understand the reason. Jason did not leave because he stopped caring. He left because the world around them had become too dangerous to face without a larger plan. And that realization changes everything for both of them.